Hey, I'll give the talk in just a second. I just want to finish this up. So I was so analyze some sales data, right? Some sales data, yeah. So the thing is, I have a huge CSV file, and it has lots of columns, and most of them I don't care about. So I took the data and I simplified it a little bit, and I extracted some of the columns. So now this has sales data from my books, and it has the product, so the name of the book, the email of the buyer, which is me in this case, how much was paid, the country, and the rating out of 5. And of course I rated myself or my book 5 out of 5. Or yeah, sure. Yeah, I did rate it 5 out of 5. I'm not ashamed of it. So now I was trying to analyze this data, but I'm not very used to doing these things. So I was checking Stack Overflow for help, and I found this question of someone that was trying to do the same thing. And the top answer and the accepted answer says I should use pandas, but then there's this remark here that says that pandas are an endangered species. So maybe I should leave the pandas alone. But thankfully there's another answer right here, and it says I don't need to use pandas. I can just use vanilla Python for this. So probably I'm just going to do some basic things here. But yeah, so here are some things I can do. Yeah, so let's start by getting the email domains. So each sale has an email associated with it, and I want to get the domains of these emails, and I can do that by splitting the email on the @ sign and then taking what's on the right. So if I'm going to do that for everyone, I'm going to create an empty list, and then for each sale in the sales data, I'm going to take the domains empty list and append the sale email that was split on the @ sign and then what's on the right of that. And now I have my list of domains. Now the thing is, this is a for loop that is appending stuff to an empty list, so I can rewrite this as a list comprehension. And let me just, I think I know how to do this, but I can check here. I've got some animations I was preparing for my talk, so maybe I can play those to make sure I know what I'm doing. So this is the code I have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the list definition and copy it, and then I'm going to take what's inside the append and I'm going to copy that into the list comprehension inside the brackets, and then the for goes on the right. So we finish up with the for. Okay, so this is something I can do. Let's see. I've got my domains, and I'm going to take what's inside the append gets copied over, that goes first, and then the for part goes next, so that goes in here. And this looks like it's working as well. Okay, so this was my first task. So let's see what the Stack Overflow answer suggests I do next. So next I can get the, so use the email domains, get the email domains as list comprehensions. We've done that, and then it says I should get the ratings as integers by filtering out the empty ratings. So what this means is that, if I understand correctly, so sales data rating, so that's a 5, but I don't know, let's see, for index in range 5, print sales data idx.rating. Right, so as we can see, plenty of sales do not have ratings. So if I'm building a list with all of the integer ratings, I need to go through the sales in the sales data, but then I need to check if there is a rating, and only if there is a rating I want to take the ratings list and append the integer conversion of the sale rating. Now I can check the ratings. Okay, that's that 2 over there is hard to spot. So I've got 9 5s and then a 2. So this looks odd. I need to figure out what this is. I need to check what I can improve. Yeah, but so this is how you do it with a for loop, right? But if I want to do it with a list comprehension, I also need to include this filtering in some way. So maybe I'll just see if the animation makes it clear. So we have the code in the nested structure, the loop, and so we start again by copying the list definition, and then what's inside append always goes first, so we copy that in, and then we go from top to bottom. So we start with the for, we put that over there, and next comes the if, so that goes on the right. And that's what we finish on. And so if I go over here, let's see, can I do this ratings? So that's going to be the integer part, the integer conversion of the sale rating for each sale in the sales data if there is a rating. So this builds the ratings. Okay, amazing. Now I think there's no more tasks to be done. Yeah, oops. This is finished. I'm done with this. Yeah, so maybe I can go through the talk with you now, and then I'll do some more analysis of my data. So I apologize for that. Let's try and comprehend comprehensions. My name is Rodrigo Girão Serrão, and it's a pleasure to be here with you at PyOhio 2022. Now, before I get started, I just want to invite you to follow me on Twitter, because I will link the slides on Twitter, and all of the resources and the examples and etc. I will post all of that on Twitter. And do not be afraid, my Twitter account, I use it only for Python purposes, so you will not be flooded with photographs of things I eat, places I visit, or I don't know, just random stuff I do. So I wanted to tell you about list comprehensions, but we've seen some of that, so let me just recap that. A list comprehension typically looks like this, has brackets and then some stuff inside, some code, and we can break it into 4 parts, really. The outermost part, this is the brackets, and this might seem irrelevant, but this is actually very important because it's the part of the list comprehension that tells you that you are building a list. So that's the brackets. Then, at the forefront of the list comprehension, you have the data transformation that you're doing. So you have an element that you're transforming in some way. You're applying some function, you're computing some expression, it doesn't matter. You're transforming your elements in some way. Now those elements, they must come from somewhere. And that's why you have a for in your list comprehension. It's to tell you where your data is from. And then when needed, so this is only optional, when needed you can filter some of the data with an if. And you can apply some condition. You can have some inequalities, some equalities, a function that returns a boolean, it doesn't matter. You filter your data. And now this is the thing that people find confusing most often, and that's the order in which things go. So list comprehensions are equivalent to nested for loops and if statements and etc. And the list comprehension is always ordered in the same way as the nested structure, except for the append. So what's inside the append goes first, everything else is the same. So if you have a for loop and an if and what etc., if it's top to bottom, if you read it top to bottom, you would write it in a list comprehension from left to right. So notice that the for goes first, and then it's the if, and if you have more stuff it will go after. So, to summarize, how do you build a list comprehension? You always have the transformation first. The element transformation, the data transformation, that's the most important thing, and that's why it goes first. It tells you what's happening to your elements. Then, to order your loops and your ifs, you take the nested structure, you go top to bottom, and you write it left to right in your list comprehension. And the ifs, they can go in there in the middle, and they are used to filter your data. So those are the conditions that you use to filter data. And all of these fors and the ifs, they can be nested arbitrarily to compute some other things, more complicated things. But you shouldn't get too carried away, because you don't want huge list comprehensions. In fact, list comprehensions are nice for their simplicity, because why would you use a list comprehension? One of the main reasons is that it simplifies a very useful pattern. This pattern of going through some data and building new data out of it, that's a very useful pattern, and list comprehensions simplify it. As long as you use fairly simple list comprehensions. So don't get too crazy. Now, another really good argument in favor of list comprehensions is that when you are building these new lists, you are highlighting the data transformation. So this tells you quite clearly what is happening to your data. And finally, one other benefit that is not always true, but it is common, is that list comprehensions are faster than the equivalent for loops. Now, Python has other things that are comprehensions but that are not list comprehensions. For example, we have set comprehensions. And what are set comprehensions? A set comprehension is just like a list comprehension, except it builds sets. And instead of enclosing the comprehension with brackets, you use braces. Everything else is the same. So all of the other rules and caveats apply. So let me give you an example. Each sale has a country associated with it. I can figure out in how many countries I've sold my books if I build a set with all of the countries. So that's going to be the sale country for each sale in the sales data. And now we can see that I've sold my book in 149 places. Now, other than set comprehensions, we also have dictionary comprehensions. And as you might have guessed, dictionary comprehensions build dictionaries. They're fairly similar to set comprehensions, except you have to separate your keys and your values with a colon. Everything else is going to be the same. So let me give you an example. Suppose that I want to take the countries and I want to create a dictionary that maps each country to its first character. So how do I do that? Let me clear this. So in order to do that, I'm going to take the... Did I just break this? No, okay, so this is still here. So I'm going to go through the sale country, and that's going to be the key of my dictionary, and the value is the sale country, or the first character of that. And now, sales come from where? In order to specify where they come from, you write for each sale in sales data. And now I also need to do some filtering, because there's an empty country there for people that did not specify where they were from. So I need to say that I only care about this if the sale country exists. Now if I do this, I create a dictionary that takes a country and maps it to the first letter. So this was an example of a dictionary comprehension. But wait, because there's more. And in my opinion, this is when it gets really interesting. That's when we start talking about generator expressions. Now, generator expressions, they're very, very cool, very, very powerful. And generator expressions, they're pretty much like list comprehensions. You just have to replace the brackets with parentheses. And the idea is that a generator expression is kind of like a lazy list comprehension. So a generator expression can build your values, but instead of doing it all in one go, it will wait and it will only build the values when they are needed. And this is a very powerful idea, very, very useful. Other than that, it works pretty much the same way as a list comprehension, and the way you write it, the way you write a generator expression is the same. Now, sadly, I'm running out of time to show you how all of these things work and to give you some nice examples of generator expressions. So I'm just going to invite you to check out my book on this topic. So that's where you can find more than 100 exercises on list comprehensions and dictionary and set comprehensions and generator expressions and more thorough explanations and other examples. I meant exercises. It also has examples. So yeah, feel free to check this book out. And on the link you see, you'll also find my contacts. So I would love to hear your feedback. And other than that, I really appreciate your time and attention, and I hope to speak to you soon. Bye.